All right. The Southeast Asia Primary Learning Matrix is a regional assessment. It's an assessment for quality education. And it covers the 11 SEAMEO member countries, which is the Southeast Asian member countries, consists of 11 member countries, and regional assessment focusing on the domains of reading, writing, mathematics, and global citizenship. Okay, so we have it already here. Okay, I'm gonna sit down and, yeah, can you do it? Yeah, I wanna sit down, yeah. Okay, so let's have the overview. There's some slides I'm gonna just sail through, but there's some slides I would like to spend a bit more time. Okay, you can see that there's like 3 logos at the bottom: SEAMEO, UNICEF, and ASAP. I mean, this is like perfect marriage partners. Yeah, I will explain more later. And then we have our logo at the top, and that's the Southeast Asian member countries map. And then the overview, I will more focus on why assessment, learning crisis, what is SEA-PLM, as I already explained earlier, and the main elements and the unique features of SEA-PLM. Okay, and this is the context, okay? So, okay, we have a high rate of students going to schools, but it seems that, sadly enough, we have a highest proportion of dropouts. Doesn't mean that when kids go to school, they stay in school, right? That's the main issue in this region. Okay, and then why assessment, okay? As you all know, I have my colleagues earlier talking about, somebody didn't like the word evaluation, so I'm going to use assessment. Okay, different kinds of inequality are apparent in patterns of achievement. Yeah, for instance, I can safely say in the case of Malaysia, we did a Malaysia Education Policy Review in 2012, and we found out that we have what we call pockets of excellence. So we could not tackle the majority. We have pockets of excellence, meaning that only a few did very well, which is quite, alarming. And then each pattern contains many messages for where the focus of educational investment should be that requires system-level analysis. And then, obviously, we've been saying this for the whole day, to help inform policies to improve attainment and learning outcomes by assessing quality of education. It has to come from the top policy, and then it will evolve, cascade to the implementers, the school level, and then it will go up again. And it's like a kind of vicious cycle. Okay, so let's have a look. This is the East Asia Pacific region. I mean, it is really heartbreaking when you look at these figures. Even if we find out that one child is not at school, it's really sad. But how about millions of them? We'll be talking about the figures, the data all day long. How many children are not in school, right? So it's really heartbreaking. I mean, frankly speaking, all of us are really lucky. We go to school, and we know how important education is. Our parents make sure we attain the highest education possible. And we have, in a way, like what we call like a budget for our education. But how these children, the out-of-school children, it's the main issue is the being in the poverty situation. Okay, this is the learning crisis, where we talk about how many children, don't have the chance to learn the basics. I'll tell you a story. When I was in Japan, when I first landed in Japan, and I wanted to buy some milk. And I went to the shop, and I couldn't speak any Japanese. I ended up going back with the yogurt. So I can feel that children who couldn't read or even speak, how does it feel? I couldn't even buy a bottle of milk when I was in Japan, just imagine. So I know that like reading, writing, literacy is really very important. And then, as I said earlier, getting children to school is only the start. But there's no guarantee for them to stay. That's where quality education comes in, right? And then, I bet everybody have heard of the Bangkok Statement. You can go to the UNESCO website and get about Bangkok Statement. You can see at the last line, comprehensive monitoring and quality assurance systems, right? And what is SEA-PLM? That's what it is. The goal is to improve the quality of education through system-level monitoring of learner achievements, right? And this initiative aims in supporting SEAMEO member countries to better measure and understand the status of learning achievement among the general population or for specific groups. Okay, this is my favorite slide. This is the courtesy of John Cresswell of ACR, okay? So let's have a look, okay, filling the gap. So we have here Pearls, PISA, Teams, and EGRA have global presence. Everybody knows about this, right? But how about others that have regional focus? LLECE, okay, SECMAC, PASAC, UESO, ASER, not the Acer computer, okay, and then PILNA. Okay, this is where SEA-PLM fits in. That's how we fill in the gap in the Southeast Asia region, which is the Southeast Asia primary learning metric. Some people like to pronounce it as SEA-PLM. I like SEA-PLM. Okay, so why regional? Because we focus on common issues and interests of the region. And we start from the beginning. We are part of the process of the development from the start. And then we gain support from regional association. And then we enhance networks among our member countries. And we share ideas and techniques, and then capacity building. I will, again and again, we'll talk about capacity building later, because this is really important. Some of my colleagues already emphasize on the importance of capacity building. Okay, this is our vision. SEA-PLM has the vision. It says here, contribute towards improving and redefining learning outcomes by providing regional, culturally appropriate metrics. Okay, I highlighted that. And thereby towards a more equitable and meaningful education for all children across the region. I'll repeat again, a regional, culturally appropriate metrics. Okay, what are the main elements of SEA-PLM? At this stage, we're targeting grade 5, age 10 in some countries, and assessment domains, as I mentioned earlier, reading, writing, maths, and global citizenship. We have questionnaires, all right, for students, school teachers, and parents. For what? To identify the factors related better student achievement. And the test development is the regional assessment framework that has been developed through collaborative process with the countries, member countries, to guide the creation of the test item. And this is brilliant, it's ours. And the unique features, this is a regional scale designed to measure progress in relation to, as already mentioned, and I will mention again, values and curricula of the Southeast Asian region. And then it says, the next unique feature is assessment in the region to date to access foundations of global citizenship. Everywhere you go, people will talk about global citizenship. That's what we want. We talk about this crisis to stop the cycle of violence. We talk about gender, anything that had related to global citizenship. So we want assessment in this region today to assess foundation of global citizenship. And then this is the first assessment in the world to assess writing across script and languages. Some people say that we are so too ambitious, but we have to do it, and our member countries are really confident that we can do this. And this framework is developed analyzing curricula from all 11 SEAMEO member countries. Okay? And then the items and questionnaires are developed in close collaboration with participating countries. Capacity building, again, major focus of the initiative. And then, most importantly, it's embedded into the national system and structures. Right? It cannot be, we cannot do something that can burden the member countries. They wouldn't like that. We have to align it with the national education system. And then building on international best practice and provide opportunity for results from CPLM to be compared to other international assessment. That's why we have ACR on board, because we want like our CPLM to be of international standards. And then point of reference for curriculum review and standards at primary level. And these are our expected outcomes, as already mentioned, about the enhanced capacity to actually utilize the assessment data. What is the challenge here? We collect so much data, but in the end, we analyze it, we put a really nice report, and we put it on the shelf. That's it. But no, we cannot do that. We have to go beyond that. We have to utilize the data for the improvement of our education system. And then enhance ASEAN integration in terms of approaches to assessment, initial focus. This is what the starting point is. Again, I'm going to reiterate primary grade 5, reading, writing, maths, and global citizenship. Okay, these are the implementing partners. I already mentioned about the logo. So SEAMEO, Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, we take care of the political aspect, and technical, ACR, Australian Council of Educational Research, and the programmatic part would be with UNICEF. So I have Camilla here from UNICEF. She's going to answer all your questions. I already assigned her to do that. Okay, so with three working together, that's why it ensures a solid foundation for Southeast Asia primary learning metrics. And this is our current organizational structure. From the ministry, we have the steering committee, of course. There are the decision makers. The technical team in the ministry could not implement anything without the approval of the ministers and the high officials. And then, of course, SEAMEO comes in, Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, with assistance from this. We have 21 SEAMEO regional centers in the cluster of education, culture, and science in this region. And then we have our really good marriage partner, UNICEF EPRO, that actually solely funding the initiative at the moment, and then obviously supported by the UNICEF country office, because some member countries, they need support from UNICEF country office, for instance, Cambodia, Laos, PDR, and Myanmar. Okay, and then we have ACR, as I mentioned, as the technical aspect, and these are the governing structure. I would highlight on the regional steering committee, because we have Brookings, which is the Center of Universal Education in our regional steering committee. We have UNESCO Bangkok, we have UIS, we have SEAMEO Innotech, that's one of our regional center in Philippines. Then we have UNESCO Stats Unit, we have the Ministries of Education, also obviously in the regional steering committee. And then for the regional advisory group, we have KAIS, Korea, and we have KD, UNESCO IAEP, UNICEF HQ, and obviously our Ministry of Education as well, of SEAMEO member countries. So everybody's involved here in a way. Okay, so the Geographic rolled out 2020 regional metrics. That's our target, and we have at least now 8 SEAMEO member countries doing the field trial. Brunei Darussalam, congratulations to Brunei Darussalam. They have done it in last November. So this year, we will have Cambodia, Laos PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Vietnam, and hopefully Timor-Leste. And so there's majority there. There's another 3 left, so there'll be like a minority. And knowing member countries, when they hear that majority member countries are doing it, they would obviously join as well. Okay, and the national and regional endorsement, I mean, this development of the Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics is being supported by the ministers and high officials all throughout, and is in the ASEAN 5-year work plan on education 2016-2020. When you talk about ASEAN member states, that would exclude Timor-Leste, but we hope in the future Timor-Leste would be one of the ASEAN member states. And I will show you the key moments. You can see we went through, since 2012, we went to the process of presenting to the high official, to the ministers, the progress of Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics to gain their endorsement, to gain their approval. That's how it works in this region. You have to get the approval from the top. Without the approval, nothing can happen, frankly speaking. So we have to get the approval. We keep presenting it we convene, SEAMEO Secretariat convene the meeting for ministers, a meeting for high officials. That's how we get the approval endorsement. And this is the latest, 2014. You can see there, the Domain Technical Review Panels meeting. That's one of the capacity building where we develop our draft framework. And then we have the item development workshop. We sit down all together, all the member countries, with the experts that UNICEF EPRO bring from all over the world. And then we have, of course, the ACR, our technical expert, to come up with the items for SEA-PLM. And then we also have the field operations and planning and data management workshop to actually guide member countries how to conduct the SEA-PLM, actually. So that's capacity building for the member countries. Okay, so last slide. Question and discussion. So you can see there SEA-PLM, like sea plum. The plum is floating on Southeast Asian seas. Thank you so much for your kind attention.